What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. It's just 2 weeks until WrestleMania 36, so what surprises are in store over on the Blue brand? Join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes the 20th March edition of Friday Night Smackdown, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including whether WWE learned from their mistakes on NXT, Braun Strowman fan backlash, Matt Hardy discusses why he left the WWE, Sonya Deville reveals anger over the Lana Liv Morgan storyline, Japanese fans are undergoing medical screenings. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and look at the good, the bad and the downright ugly for this week's edition of Smackdown. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, more matches. The WWE wisely went to putting on more matches last night, and whilst last week's SmackDown featured matches, Raw only featured 1 while NXT had 0. As we noted in our previous video, the WWE needs to prepare its wrestlers for WrestleMania's empty arena show, and there's no way the superstars are going to prepare except by wrestling. The argument that can also be made that the more fans see matches in an empty arena, the more likely they are going to invest in 2 nights of WrestleMania. Number 2, a dressed up set. While the Performance Center still needs some work, the WWE still dressed up the set, no doubt taking a page from Dynamite, which featured a full set. While there's only so much that can be done with the Performance Center, the WWE put in little effort last week, but that changed and last night's show looked a lot better. Number 3, quick learners. It's often been said that the WWE's production team is second to none, a process that began in the mid-80s when the WWF teamed with NBC to produce Saturday night's main event, and it's hard to deny when fans attend a live event or witness pageantry of shows like WrestleMania. Nevertheless, Raw and SmackDown look like amateur hour compared to this week's Dynamite, a lesson the WWE seems to have learned. Comparing this week's SmackDown to last week's was a case of night and day comparison, whether it was wrestlers' comfort level working in an empty arena, Michael Cole's excellent solo commentary, or the show's improved production value. If the WWE can continue improving this quickly, WrestleMania could be an exciting show. Number 4, building up a star. If you're a regular Wrestlelamia viewer, you know that Daniel Bryan wanted to work a storyline with his friend Drew Gulak to help him get over, and so far the storyline has been a success. Gulak has gone from a face in the crowd to a rising star on SmackDown. Pairing Bryan and Gulak against Sami Zayn, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura has made for some excellent matches and showcased all 5 superstars as talent. Even Cesaro has looked good in the ring, although he still seems reserved for counting the lights. The Drew Gulak experiment is still in early stages for us to predict great things, but so far so good. Number 5, building up WrestleMania and storylines. Like last week's SmackDown, the WWE didn't treat this as a best of show, but forwarded several storylines hyping the showcase of the Immortals. Whether it was Paige announcing Bayley will defend her SmackDown Women's Championship in a 6-packs challenge, and that we could potentially get Sasha vs Bayley, or Roman Reigns and Goldberg signing their WrestleMania contract, last night's show meant a lot. Number 6, Goofy Gronk. Now we're not sure if this really belongs in the good or the bad, but did Rob manage to get the memo that he's actually hosting WrestleMania and not Dancing with the Stars? Yeah, he came off pretty goofy on last night's SmackDown, but at least he's showing some enthusiasm for the role. We'd prefer he'd be a host than some bland-ass celebrity who didn't even watch wrestling. He wasn't bad on the mic too, giving, dare we say, a passionate promo. And finally, it felt natural. SmackDown just felt way more natural than Raw. Maybe because Raw is 3 hours and had to put way more filler in, but that's the problem. Raw should only be 2 hours. But that's a debate for another video. Yeah, they put in a replay of the Cena Wyatt bout at WrestleMania 30, but it wasn't as long as putting the whole damn Rumble in. That was the good. What about the bad is number 1, 2 questionable decisions. Whether you watch night 1 or night 2 of Mania, the card looks pretty decent, but why in the hell are they even bothering putting Elias vs King Corbin on it? Really, is this what they're going for? That's a hard pass for us. And also, Tamina in the 6-packs challenge? They couldn't have put in Carmelo or had a ready to return Nia Jax to fill in the spot? No, they had to go with Tamina. Bad choice, WWE. Now, of course, with there not being that much bad, there wasn't anything ugly with last night's show, and we aren't giving the WWE a break because they're operating in an empty arena. Last night's show was well done, and the closest thing to bad was Sami Zayn, whose obnoxious heel character came dangerously close to X-Pac heat, but managed to avoid crossing the line. The WWE seems to be quickly learning how to run an empty arena show while forwarding angles and putting on matches. The WWE only has 2 weeks to get ready for WrestleMania, but last night's show was encouraging. Had the show taken place in front of fans, it might have been one of the best Smackdown episodes in months. But that was the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Let's move on to the news as we look at, did WWE learn from the mistakes on NXT? The 18th March edition of NXT featured no live matches, and it showed with the ratings dropping over 20% from the previous week's episode. Conversely, Dynamite's ratings jumped 21%, likely because it featured live wrestling even though it held it in an empty arena. Brian Alvarez commented on the Wrestling Observer Live that the impression that I'd been given is that after the NXT number came in, there was a push to do actual pro wrestling on the show since NXT did all pre-tapes and interviews, and it was the worst number they've ever pulled on the USA network. So my guess is that they're going to be taping some matches. Now NXT wasn't a train wreck, but fans tuning into a wrestling show like to see some in-ring action. They didn't get it and they likely tuned into Dynamite instead. And next up, Braun Strowman fan backlash. If the late great American Dusty Rhodes was still with us, our current health crisis would be a good time for him to cut a hard times promo, as many people are facing unemployment and economic uncertainty. This includes many indie wrestlers who don't have the benefit of guaranteed contracts in the events their wrestling matches are cancelled, which is largely the case in the US. Recently, AEW's Evil Uno took to Instagram, inviting fans to help out indie wrestlers who are currently out of work. Braun Strowman took exception and responded, "Here we go with more of that somebody pay for my bills stuff. If you can't afford to pay your bills, maybe you should change professions. That's why I quit Strongman. I loved it, but I couldn't afford to live, so instead of making a GoFundMe or a Patreon wanting someone else to take care of me, I went out and worked harder than I ever have in my life to get where I am. What happened to being accountable for your own actions?" A fan seems sympathetic with indie wrestlers, knowing that the path to stardom isn't guaranteed and that indie wrestlers work hard conditions just to get by. Strowman defended his statement by saying, "And for anyone that goes that's easy for you to say you're a WWE superstar, just an FYI 7 years ago I moved to Florida with everything I owned in a Kia Soul with $150 to my name when I started this." Number one, he still doesn't understand he's in a better position, regardless of how hard he worked. And number two, is nobody questioning how Braun Strowman got into a Kia Soul? Now Strowman's comments have stirred some controversy, as fans side with unemployed wrestlers while others lament their own economic situation. It's quite funny how fans are siding with a person who's called Evil Uno, rather than babyface Big Braun Strowman. What do you guys think of Braun Strowman's comments? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Matt Hardy discusses why he left the WWE. Now that Matt Hardy is officially signed with AEW, he hasn't wasted any time sharing his story on why he left the WWE. Appearing on the Talk is Jericho podcast, Matt explained,
"And then just like I pitched idea after idea after idea after idea to WWE, and just like on my own, just I never got any feedback. I would hear a little chatter here, a little chatter there, but there was never anything that like stuck or like, you know, that anything that ever like sparked any kind of like creative fire in Vince's mind. You know, so then I just like became frustrating. And then like, they were just trying to re-sign me now at this point, just to have me under contract. So I was a WWE property, and like I kept turning down money, which was good money, but like I wanted to be in a prominent role in television, and I don't think Vince saw that for me."
It's clear the WWE was more interested in signing Matt to a contract so no one else could use him, rather than wanting to find a role for him in the WWE. Hardy talked about the importance of ending his career on the right note, and for someone as creative as Matt, it's easy to see why he chose to leave the WWE. Next up, WWE release I Wasn't There merchandise for WrestleMania. Yeah, I don't think that Vince doesn't know how to capitalize on a bad situation. The WWE shop is selling I Wasn't There t-shirts that go for $27 and features a message at the bottom which says, "Too big for one night." Will you be getting your hands on one? Next up, Sonya Deville reveals anger over the Liv Lana storyline. Sonya Deville has finally admitted she was angry when she learned of the Lana and Liv Morgan romance angle during the Lana Lashley wedding on Raw. One half of Fire and Desire shared why she and tag partner Mandy Rose were upset with the storyline on Raw, particularly since they petitioned for a similar storyline. So obviously Mandy and I were upset momentarily. It was something that we really pushed for. But never say never, and I think it's definitely still a possibility that it will or could happen in the future. I think representation in different storylines and stuff like that is awesome. I think it's good. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, and it's not just Mandy and I that have to do it. Sonya then discussed how she and Mandy worked hard on the ideas for a possible storyline. Obviously we took a lot of time out and had a lot of meetings with GLAAD, and they were helping us write and direct the story. So I hope we can go back to it one day, but yeah, I would like to see it also revealed in other storylines in the future too. Considering how the WWE deceived GLAAD when it tricked the organization in promoting the supposed gay wedding between Billy and Chuck, only to reveal it was a sham, it's surprising GLAAD would want anything to do with the WWE. And finally, Japanese fans undergoing medical screenings. The promotion Stardom is holding its Cinderella tournament on 24th March and is allowing fans to attend. Japan's health crisis seems to be slowing down, but Stardom is taking precautions. As revealed in this announcement, fans will be allowed entry to the show but will undergo a physical check with their temperature taken. No entry will be allowed if the temperature is over 37 degrees. Masks will be distributed for free. It could be some time before things get back to normal, but fans are likely happy to attend a live event. But there you have it guys, our analysis of the 20th March Smackdown as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.